Welcome back to Blog Access 101. I'm your host, Young Abachi. Remember, subscribe to our YouTube, Apple Podcasts, and Spotify by searching Blog Access 101. And if you're on YouTube, don't forget to like, comment, subscribe. This is episode 258. I'm here today with my co-hosts, Bobby and Jeremy. What up, y'all?
What up?
What up?
Not much. All right, we jump right into it. It was definitely a jam-packed NFL draft. Shout out to Green Bay for hosting it. Obviously Green Bay is a great football fan base. So it was nice that they finally was able to get to host one of the NFL drafts. I feel like they did a great job. I had the regular headquarters, and I seen people's in the stadium watching the draft as well, which is pretty cool. I still got to get down to Green Bay one day for a game. I figure out which one I'm gonna do that, but it's definitely gonna be in warm weather, like September,
Also,
early
so you got to
September.
go to season opener, and
Yeah,
that's
because
always sold out.
yeah, because like November, December is a no go for me going to Green Bay. But yeah, let's jump right into it with the first round. I thought it was a pretty good jam-packed first round. Obviously Howie did his thing, us being Eagles fans. Um, was able to get my bad, Jahad Campbell. Obviously had a shoulder injury, but from looking at his tape, and also obviously came from Alabama. He makes the right reads, particularly plays off-ball linebacker. Vic Fangio loves that. And also is a good edge rusher as well, which you desperately would need. I know Bobby talked about probably take a year to recover from the shoulder injury, but I feel like it's a great stash pick for us coming out the first round. Another pick that I like was Carolina getting another wide receiver, getting McMillan, great player from Arizona. I thought he was going to fall to Dallas, so I was kind of glad that Carolina jumped the gun and took him early. Add another star for Bryce Young over there, and as well as team pair him with David Moore.
Mhm.
We talked about this before the start of the episode. Obviously, Will Campbell was a more of a Mike Vrabel player, but I don't think he was the best offensive lineman they should have drafted. They should have took the ball Armand Membu. But if if they feel that that's the best player that fit the system, that was good. It was interesting that the Browns, traded back when they had Travis Hunter. But I don't feel like they did. I feel like Mason Graham might have been the player they wanted all along to put him on the line with Myles Garrett, which makes that defensive line even more scarier. Um, we all knew the Titans were going to take Cam Ward. I feel like that was a no-brainer at that time. And then Travis Hunter going to Jacksonville is definitely a solid pick. You put him over there with Brian Thomas, on the other side. They still trying to figure out how he's going to play both sides. We'll see how they work that out. But I would like to see him as a wide receiver and give that offense another weapon alongside Brian Thomas. But what were you guys' thoughts on the? Oh, and also shout out to Ashton Genty getting picked by the Raiders. Pete Carroll loved them physical running backs, a la Marshawn Lynch. So it was good that he got Ashton Genty. But yeah, what do y'all guys thoughts on the first round draft?
Man, I would say, like you said, the Eagles did a great job. I do like the pick of the backup quarterback from Syracuse, Kyle McCord, solid pick. And then I also like the defensive tackle from Nebraska, Ty Robinson. We need to shore that up because we don't know with Jordan Davis. I know we're picking up his fifth year option, but still, like long term wise, we need another D tackle. We need some more D tackles down there. Um, as far as other teams, I'm not big on the Raiders draft. They did good with the first round pick, but did not address the quarterback issue. I like Geno, he cool, but they need a backup quarterback. They did not address that
Yeah,
at
that's why I kind of was shocked they kept skipping past Shador. Obviously, he went fifth round. They had what about a couple, two fourth rounders. They might have should have used it on one of them, but I can't even get mad because the two picks they paid in the fourth round were great picks for them.
And then I'll follow up with the Panthers. They picked up Jimmy Horn in the sixth round, which is a good another wide receiver.
Sleeper time.
Perfect in the slot. So you got them big Leggett, McMillan, and then Horn in the slot. I think that's a solid. And then they picked up a running back. I'm trying to think who was it? Who was it? Who was they picked up another running back that's a good running back for them.
Who you talking about?
I'm trying the Panthers. I'm trying to think. I'm looking at it right now.
Oh, they
But they
got Travis Etienne, younger brother.
Yeah,
Trevor.
ETN from Georgia. I think that's solid. Split carries with Chuba Hubbard. I think that's
You forgot they got the young running back from Texas that's still recovering from. Well, he came back last year, but he didn't really do too
I don't
much.
think I think your AC. Yeah, I think that's why they went and got ETN because they couldn't. You know what I'm saying?
I mean, yeah, I mean, never, you can never have enough running backs and you can't. That's right, Jonathan Brooks. But we'll see how he comes back. Maybe just need a little. Sometimes you come off tour and see how you take a little while to get that little flow back and hit them quick speed bursts and gaps and cutbacks. It might take a little while to cover get your knee right. So I feel like he'll be fine next season. But we'll see. But it was good they picked up a buffer if he didn't, because with J.K. Dobbins over the years, the Ravens got tired of him keep getting injured all the time.
I would say disappointment though. Disappointment from this draft, besides the Raiders to me, I wasn't really, I wasn't feeling the Steelers. Still didn't address their QB issue being held hostage by freaking Aaron Rodgers. I like Will Howard. Don't get me wrong, I like Will Howard,
I'm
but
gonna lie. I'm a Ohio State fan. I don't think he's gonna pan out well in the NFL.
well, the Steelers system is kind of easy. They're gonna run the ball first. He could pan out well. It's just that he don't know if he gonna start or Aaron Rodgers is gonna be there. He just don't know.
No, they probably start Mason Rudolph.
Oh, that's a good guy. Oh God, that's terrible. Well, my
I'm dead
hey,
serious.
Miles Garrett, go ahead and send you over $100,000 because you know what's up. You know you about to get fined. Go ahead and send over that $100,000 fine when you play the Pittsburgh Steelers.
But what are your thoughts on the first round?
Yeah,
First,
I definitely like what what not the Bears. I like what the Patriots did. I think that they did a great job with their draft picks. And what I'm a soccer fan, so I like the kicker they got. They needed to address that topic right there. And then I think that as well as what the Bears did, I think when they got that tight end from was Michigan, I think that was a surprise pick for me. But I think after that pick, they kind of settled in. They got Burton from Missouri, and I think they addressed the offensive tackle spot too as well. I was surprised with Booker going to Alabama, but I mean, I guess he fits the offensive line spot well. And then I like what the Jets did at 7 when they took Mimble. I think that he kind of solidified their line as well, given that they have a new quarterback coming in. And so hopefully that they can get some protection from him, especially with Aaron Rodgers leaving and him kind of leaving the league at a notice. But what really caught me off guard was the Saints. I really thought they was going to take Shador, need let him drop, and then they took Banks, which is they took a lot of offensive linemen. So I think they're going to get someone in free agency or allow I think they got a quarterback. They addressed it later on in the draft, but I'm really interested to see what the Saints do in this upcoming season.
So you think they taking for Archie too?
Yeah,
Going old lineman, building from the trenches. Kellen Moore, he come from Philly, so he understands like we have to build from the trenches to be dominant, and especially with a young quarterback to protect them. So you think that's their like model for success?
yeah, I think that they're building for the future. If they weren't, they would have took an early quarterback because I think there's a lot of quarterbacks that went before Shador that could have went to the Saints, and with them going, all of them going before Shador, and I think Shador's like accuracy on the field and his pocket awareness, even though he took a lot of sacks at Colorado and Jackson State, I think that if they would have picked him, then you would have saw them going in a different direction. But with them addressing all the offensive line needs, they're either going to get someone in free agency or they're going to, like you said, they're going to shop around those picks so that they can get someone later on in the year or early next year.
I
that's
mess with
def-
it. I agree
that's
with you.
great analysis. Yeah. So let's jump into what uh any player you think is going to be a bust from the first round, or do you feel
I
like a
got,
team reached for in the first round?
I'm sorry. I know y'all high on Mason Graham. I'm not a believer.
Oh
I'm
man.
I'm not a believer in Mason Graham. His game to me seems kind of slow. I think he having a great year on a bad Michigan team, which is what propelled him to being like a high first rounder. Don't get me wrong, he talented, but I don't see it. I really just don't see it.
So that's the person you say is going to be the bust from the first round.
Yes, I don't see it.
Oh, man.
I don't see it.
No, but he had a good career over at Michigan. And I hate, it pains me to say that when I give like Michigan players high praise. Um, but I just feel as though this is a great pick for them. He gets to learn from Miles Garrett. Really doesn't have to come in and be a game changer. I mean, obviously he's going to do. I feel like he's going to have a good career, but it's like, typically you got guys that early, you expect them to be big time players from the gate, which he doesn't have to be since he has Myles Garrett there. And they have a decent defensive line already. So, but I feel as though I don't really feel as though that was the bust. If anything, I feel like the Loveland pick would be the bust for me by the Bears taking him early over Penn State linebacker, which I thought was pretty interesting because he had a great career over at Penn State. Definitely a pass catching receiver that the Bears might desperately need it to go along with
Matt.
yeah, Komet. And I feel like they kind of dropped the ball on that one, in my opinion.
I agree, but look, if you look at their all who's their head coach now, he gonna put Loveland in the right spots. I'm not big on that. I agree with you. He could be a bust too. Like I'm not big on it. You get the guy from Penn State, but in the day when Ben Johnson, he gonna put him in the right situations to succeed. So I'm not doubting the system that he's in.
I mean, I don't see like Levin as a bad player, but it was like even him playing over in his college days at Michigan, it wasn't like he was a big time guy. Like I mean, he had what I think his sophomore year was probably his best year. What had like over 600 yards and 4 touchdowns. But even then, it's like nothing like you saying, oh, this is the guy that's gonna take us to the next level. When you hear like a lot of people were talking, um, a lot of people were high on Tyler Warren, which is a big tight end, was about 6'5". Then what junior year had about 7 touchdowns, and last year had 8. So it's like each year he gotten better. Um, and I think what that was last year, this past season, he had over 1,200 yards receiving. So it was like if you're going to get a tight end, that's the guy you get. So maybe they saw something in Loveland that they didn't see um, in Tyler Warren, and hopefully they prove us wrong. But I don't see it. I feel like that's going to be the bust in that from that first round. Um, what are your guys' thoughts on anybody a bust coming from the first round?
Actually, I wanted to point out Jackson Dart. I think he's the bust right there. Because when they don't, when you pick up Abdul Carter to start off strong on the defense, and then you come back with Jackson Dart, given all the quarterbacks that were available in the draft, and then after that, which I think is weird, they picked up a lot of great defensive players, but Jackson Dart's his upside in college wasn't that wasn't a wow factor to me. You look at his tape at Ole Miss, and then you look at how he was his pocket presence given the NFC East. You're going to have a lot of edges rushing for you, and he's someone that'll throw it, in the secondary, throw it up for picks. It's going to be a lot of picks that he's going to come into, and I think for him to go to the Giants with their revamp that they need to do on the offensive line aspect. And I think that was not a good spot for them to take. If anything, they should have, added more either firepower with some of the wide receivers going into free agency or addressing more defensive roles. But I think, yeah, Jackson Dart for me was like a little bit of a like head scratcher. I was like, why did they take him at that
I'm at
position?
the I agree with you on that too. Jackson Dart. The Giants will marry the owner of the Giants. It's not escaping that, that whole sigma of he has never drafted a black quarterback. He'll pay for free agent, but never drafted. Jackson Dart really didn't stand out like a wow factor. He was good in college, but like you said, he made costly turnovers when down the stretch when you need him. So it's kind of confusing. And then also with Dabo and Joe, this might be their last year. And you pick up Jackson Dart. What's to say the next GM gonna be like, oh yeah, he gone. We going somewhere else.
Yeah, it really didn't make sense.
I kind of like Jackson Dart. I'm not gonna lie, that was my third favorite quarterback going into out of all the QBs in the draft. Obviously, I wouldn't have took him, maybe in the first round, but I see why they took him. I don't know why they took him that early in the first round, but I know that's their quarterback. Let's look like who their quarterback is going to be for the future. Um, but obviously they got Jameis, and then they signed Russell Wilson to a 1 year, $21 million deal, which was insanity. But we'll soon see, like I feel like this is the time they're gonna use him to mold him into being to see if he has the potential to be their franchise quarterback in the future. This is obviously, I mean, typically you don't want to draft someone in the first round that you're gonna not start until later, unless obviously a la Jordan Love. But that was a situation where you got Aaron Rodgers. He's preparing for see when I know he was getting disgruntled, so they went and got Jordan Love. But we see how that panned out pretty well for Green Bay. So maybe this might pan out well for New York with Jackson Dart. So we'll see what he does. But I feel like he had a decent year at Ole Miss. So I mean, obviously, I feel like he's a dual threat quarterback. He's a bit of a gunslinger, as you say. Sometimes he makes erratic throws, but I feel like you get polished by from being mentored by Russell Wilson, who's been in the league for a long time and been to Super Bowls and won one. So he gets that type of mentorship from him, which can help him become a better quarterback. So. But yeah, I definitely can see why y'all say that would be the bust of the first round. Bobby, did you have a bust for the first round?
Bust for the first round. I'm probably gonna have to go with Jackson Dart. And I told you like I had to go with Jackson Dart, and I'm not a big fan of the Texans trading out in the first round. I would say the Texans not addressing O-line issues was a big bother for me for that first round. Like they needed to address the O-line. CJ's now going to be on his back. They didn't address nothing with the O-line, and that bothers me. They got one O-lineman out of the whole draft. So either they're real comfortable with the O-lineman they have, which is a problem because they already said the chemistry stuff. But hey, things could have changed with the new offensive coordinator, how protection systems are set up, and CJ might be getting the ball out quicker. But I gotta say, it's just it's really the Texans on lack of any O lineman the Texans pick. I'm kind of disappointed.
For Minnesota, he's pretty decent.
He decent, but I was like, I don't think they should have traded out the first round. They should have got. I know they were thinking about less money to spend, but they should have got an O lineman.
I mean, they hit though on that second round pick, getting Jaden
Yes,
Higgins from Iowa
yes,
State.
yes, they did. I'm not hating on the skill positions. They killed the skill positions, but the one position they needed, O line.
Yeah, maybe they try to address it through like undrafted free agents, and hopefully they find a player that can, that works his way through training camp, rookie camp, and then go through training camp, does well in the preseason, and maybe they find someone through that way. But I mean, that's risky business, but we'll see what happens.
We'll see.
Let's see what the next topic was. All right, let's talk about some teams that drafted well.
Well, we can't say the Eagles because we all bias on that one.
It's the truth because look,
We all bias on that one but I do agree.
you got. I mean, Howie always does this thing each year in the draft. One started off right, getting Jahai Campbell dropping him at the end of the draft, trading up one with the Chiefs. I was shocked the Chiefs traded with us after the dog whooping we gave them in the Super Bowl. But it's a business. So went and got Jahai Campbell. Great off the ball linebacker that's blitzed pretty well, which Vic loves to coach. Then we fixed the issue of losing CJ Gardner Johnson, um, and went and got Andrew Makuba, I might be saying his name wrong, from Texas. Definitely a ball hawk, and also one thing I love in a safety, a person that can go get to the ball and make it jump and get them 50-50 balls, but also can lay a hit on somebody. I was watching that the tapes they show when you draft a player like the highlight cap, and when he hit that one kid and cracked back on the goal line, running from the goal line, and first and goal and killed that running back. I think it was from Georgia. I
Yeah.
was like, yeah, I love this kid.
Um, I'm gonna put the Seattle Seahawks having a great draft. If you look at who they drafted, they're addressing their O line, which I believe in the backup quarterback, Jalen Miro. I know some people are not believers, but they addressed the backup quarterback in case of Sam Darnold, and they addressed the future, hopefully.
Mhm.
The biggest side is their wide receiver, Torrey Horton from Colorado State. Dog. You seen when he put up when he was on primetime life and how he performed. So being in Seattle is a good place for him. And then they picked up two University of Miami players with Damian Martinez, the running back, power running back. Kenneth Walker can't stay healthy. Now you got Charbonnet and Damian Martinez to help with that load. And then you pick up the tight end Arroyo, who is a receiving threat tight end, big receiver threat. So I'm gonna have to say the Seattle Seahawks had an amazing draft for what they addressed their needs were.
Yeah, definitely. I love that third round pick taking Jalen Milroe from Alabama. Another dual threat quarterback, which I'll be definitely drafting in Dynasty. I can say that in here because I know y'all not in Dynasty leagues with me. Hopefully, Rod doesn't listen to this. Um, but Rod, maybe you don't listen to this podcast episode, so y'all don't take the player I'm trying to get in Dynasty when we do these drafts. But yeah, I feel as though Jalen Milroe was a great quarterback for Seattle. Coming to a great situation. Obviously, Sam Darnold had a great season last year, but you got to think to yourself: if Minnesota didn't want to pay him the money, um, obviously, got JJ McCarthy coming back from the torn ACL this year. So if they didn't want to pay, because you never know how a player comes back from an ACL injury. Obviously he's young, so he should be come back all right, but you just never know. And the fact they were just willing to let him walk like that, definitely shows me they weren't really sold on him, even if he having a good season. A lot of people see it as a fluke, and clearly Minnesota did as well, which is why they didn't resign him. Also, of course, they had a franchise quarterback already. But Seattle definitely, I feel that they're not really sold on Darnold, even though they gave him that deal. By picking this quarterback Jalen Milroe for the future, just in case, and he might need to start a little bit early in case Sam Darnold becomes erratic as he was before early on in his career. But yeah, you definitely, like you said, they definitely addressed the issues with Kenneth Walker injury prone with Damian Martinez. Also getting some offensive line help from the guy from North Dakota State. I'm shocked a lot of people aren't saying he's a bust because a lot of people look at these small schools like, oh, we don't really respect these players. They play in small competition, but he's definitely a dog. Then they got a good safety from South Carolina and Nick Emawari. So I feel as though they hit pretty well. But Jeremy, who did you have as a team that drafted pretty well? And I'll give you mine.
Definitely had New England up there. I think they did well getting Will Campbell out of LSU, Travion Henderson from Ohio State, and then they addressed some of the lagging issues that they had with on the defensive side of the ball as well. Definitely love the kicker that they picked up. I think kicker is an underrated position in the league today, especially when you come in those clutch moments. You look at what Kansas City did last year in the playoffs, but I think that this kicker that they got out of Arizona is like he's launching 60 yarders in college, so that was great. They also got Craig Woodson out of California. That safety is can come in and solidify the back end as well. So I love what they did there, and I just appreciate how they came in and in support of Drake May, because you look at what Carolina is doing too with what they drafted that wide receiver out of Arizona. I think a lot of these teams are going in the draft and picking players to surround that one quarterback to build for the future. So I love what New England did there.
I think New England might be one of those teams that people are not going to pick up for this year with their signings as well as the drafting. They did really damn well. You think about having a veteran wide receiver with Stephon Diggs, then going to adding another compliment corner to Christian Gonzalez on the other side. Like shoot, New England probably had one of the best off seasons this year.
Definitely getting Stephon Diggs. Everybody was hesitant on the knee ACL injury. I wanted him to go back to Houston. I love that what they had, especially with Tank Dell will probably be out for the season next year. So I was hoping they would resign him back, but unfortunately, going to New England is definitely a big move. New England showing, they're not trying to be a team that's going to be in the bottom half for too long. Signing Stephon Diggs showed to their franchise as well as with their fans that hey, we're serious about winning. We're serious about building a quality team again, as we have been over for the past few decades. But yeah, definitely like the Will Campbell pick. I talked about earlier. I would have picked the other guy. Uh, was it Armand? But I feel as though Will Campbell definitely was the type of player, gridiron guy that strictly by the book, hard worker that fits Vrabel's system. So we'll see how that works out. But my team was definitely Carolina. As I talked about early, um, before we started, I felt he was going to slip down to Dallas, and I didn't want that to happen for Dak to get another weapon to pair along besides CD. So I was glad that the Panthers wouldn't got McMillan from Arizona, big body receiver. I feel like they're definitely going to complement well with Moore. So we'll see how that transpires. But it's good to get Bryce Young another weapon. Finally see like Bryce Young is finally starting to bloom and get the game slowing down for him in the NFL, as we saw how well he played when the game slowed down for him in college football. Also, they got another running back. I know we talked about earlier with Jonathan Brooks with his knee injury with ACL coming back from that. We don't know how he's going to bounce back. I feel as though he'd be good. He came back last, really didn't do too much, but they didn't want to overwork him. I love Chuba Hubbard, but you need to have a solid two, maybe even three running backs, especially in today's NFL. You know, especially with a lot of wear and tear on these players, you want to always have a strong running back. Because if one goes down, at least you got two others ready to, take control. Love the Jimmy Horn pick in the sixth round. I feel as
Yes.
though that was a great pick for them. Um, like you talked about earlier, Bobby, great player to work in the slot. So I'm just curious to see how that offense is going to look this year with Bryce Young and those two new weapons that he just got in the offense, and then running back with Trevor Etienne, younger brother of Travis. So and he played physical back down there at Georgia. So we'll see how that transpires.
Also, I mean, let's talk about these Colorado players too, man. Like some of the stuff that's happened, like minus Shadur, if you notice that teams were not taking a Colorado player until late in the round. So I think also when you look at Travis and Shadur, it's really gonna be on Dion to raise these players up because a lot of these players technically could have went earlier, but they were 6th round talents and stuff. So for Dion, it's like, dang. I don't know. Recruiting for Dion will always be there because of the flair and stuff, but I feel like it might go down a bit because they're seeing how their players would like you only have one 1st round pick out of your key positions.
Yeah, I get that, but I think wasn't Colorado like out of the was had the school with the most wide receivers drafted though.
They had
Obviously,
the
I mean, I
most
know
wide
it's late.
receivers. Yeah, they had the most wide receivers drafted, but at the same time, too, late in the draft like that.
I mean, I feel though that wasn't on them. I feel like
Yeah.
a lot of it was just people
That
were
was
just
just
hating on Dion. But
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. Like with Dion, he also got to take knowledge of that. Be like, man, they gonna hurt these young men' career drafting them late
yeah,
and stuff. Like it sucks.
I feel like, hopefully they use it as a tool to like, okay, this is how these teams want to draft me late. So all right, let me just show them why a lot of these teams made a mistake with pick, but not the team that drafted them, but show why other teams that overlooked them made a mistake and make these GMs look like idiots. And I like how everyone handled it. Shador kept his composure through it, as well as Shiloh. I think Shiloh just got picked up by the Buccaneers through undrafted players free agency. So good
That'll
to
be
see he got
good.
picked up.
That'll be good for Shiloh if he makes the roster, especially
Mhm.
with the culture that's set down in Tampa Bay with especially defensive culture. Um I think a lot of these players, I think it's iffy for Travis and Shadur because the culture in Jacksonville and Cleveland is not the best.
Mhm.
But if you look at some of the other players that got drafted, I mean, Carolina's not the best culture right now either because that owner is insane. Um, but I think when you look at it, I think they could be stars or at least like starting rotational players inside the 53-man lineup for any of those Colorado players.
Yeah, definitely. And I meant to say my other team that I enjoyed their draft. I feel like the Cleveland Browns did a great job. Shout out to Andrew Berry. One, they took Shador in the fifth round. That's definitely deserved an A+ getting him that late in the round. I think Andrew Berry talked about it. Like we drafted the best player in the later rounds, and obviously he was the best player in the fifth took Dylan Gabriel too. And already loaded. I wouldn't say not. Well, that's might be a wrong term.
Yeah, that's definitely a wrong
I would
turn.
say crowded
But
quarterback room.
Like Kenny Pickett, I'm sorry,
Yeah,
you my dog. You were on the Eagles last year, but you about to get cut.
yeah, it's definitely a crowded QB room with Deshaun Watson, Kenny Pickett, Joe Flacco. Now you just added Dylan Gabriel and
Hey,
Shador.
keep Deshaun
I
away.
take Joe Flacco over Kenny Pickett any day.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, but Joe is an old guy now in his 40s, but I feel like he'll just be there. I feel like he'll end up probably being a third string. They're gonna make a decision between Shador and Gabriel. I feel like Kenny Pickett definitely gets the short end of that stick. But I feel like they keep Flacco just for the leadership and him being in the league for so long and how much the skill set. Because when he had to sit there before, he had a great season with them. So that's why they brought him back into their QB room. I feel like Deshaun Watson, they're gonna try to trade him, which I think doubt happens.
He
Right,
can't be
and then the
no
season get
mentor for them young
released.
QBs.
Yeah,
You can't have a mentor in them young QBs.
yeah, he definitely can't. I'm not gonna say why, but
That's
But
all
you
I'm saying.
you
Yep.
talk about bad decisions off the field. You get Shador Sanders, and you talking about Deshaun Watson mentoring him? No, sir.
Nah, fam.
Shador had like bad like off the field like he didn't do nothing crazy like well allegedly Deshaun Watson with the masseuse all the issues. The knock on Shador was he was cocky, but I feel as though what quarterback that plays at that higher level is not cocky, black or white. Because we could talk about Baker Mayfield being super cocky and still win first round. But it's always when
I
a
mean,
black quarterback comes out where
it
they want
goes
to
back. I
name people
think
as cocky.
Shadur's problem was that he was as they call sandbagging some of the interviews with the teams he didn't want to go to, and they took that as it's kind of an insult. Any job interview you go into, you know what they always say, you should always put your best forward because you'll never know if you might be working with them down the line or so. I'm pretty sure Shadir kind of feels like he'll be with the Browns for it's like he'll be the franchise QB, but you never know what might happen in the NFL or what team you could be drafted or who could be a new GM on that team. So I think he went about it the
But
wrong way, but also too, I do not mind his cockiness because that's what I want for my QB. If he's gonna be a leader, man, I want him to be cocky and confident in his ability to do what he does best. I have no problem with that. But I also, like you said, the whole Baker Mayfield stuff, he was cocky as hell and they were letting that slide. But also too, I still believe it has to be those GMs and head coaches because they are so worried that if you draft the Shadir high enough, you give him first round quarterback, that's pretty much saying that's your franchise QB. And he don't like you, and then all Dion got to do is say, like, you know what, he not coaching the right, tell the owner, but I can coach him. I know how to coach him. Yeah, jobs on the line. Head coaches and like GMs are like, shit. Well, then I might get fired because he don't like me and he want his daddy to coach him.
yeah, but like we can't like obviously sandbagging, but we can talk about the Manning when they specifically said that Eli go to the Chargers,
Yeah,
he not coming.
my point
So
exactly.
like
That's another
yeah,
point.
yeah, but I'm saying that like we can't play the card. Oh, he's sandbagging interview because the Manning family did the exact same thing, saying we don't want Eli going to the
The
Chargers and end up
Chargers.
in New York. So now I mean I'm just saying like like obviously one race do something is cool, another one is an issue, but
Oh, it's definitely some race played into it. I'm not in race to it, but all factors we got to account all factors. Part of it, I'm telling you, it I would say 20% deals with race, but mostly deals with them GMs and head coaches worried about their jobs.
sure, not I totally understand that, but it's like it's some people before. All I'm saying is people before them did the same exact thing, and they weren't really
Exactly.
like the media didn't try to run with it, and everybody just looked the other way.
That's
Um,
another thing. The media blew it.
oh yeah, and I
The
feel like they did it
media.
for ratings, like to make
But
them
think
drop this far.
but think about it. Tebow. Look how Tebow was. Yeah, Tebow wasn't the best QB, but coaches was like, yo, I don't want that media circus in my locker room. Like, why am I answering questions about one player when I got a team full of men here that I got to coach?
Yeah,
I don't want that media. That's another reason the media was like, nah, coaches and GMs were like, nah, we're not dealing with that. I don't want to deal with that.
I understand that because obviously the media can become a pain in the what sometimes. When they're just trying to push a story or a narrative, like I talked about in one of my class, like agenda setting. Media is big on that, trying to, and once they get that agenda set on you, it can either be work in your favor or work against you, depending on what agenda they're trying to set. So I can tell you about some people might not want to deal with that. Having the father there and the Sanders family, but. Go fifth round is crazy, but I'm glad he was able to get picked up. Hopefully, he makes the best of his situation and does the thing. But let's jump to the next topic, focusing on teams that drafted terribly. Anybody want to start that off?
The Washington Commanders.
I feel like they had a good draft.
They did good first round. The first round
Oh
pick was
man,
solid, but the rest of the draft, I was just like, nah. They to me, you have solid linebackers. Drafting Jalen Lane from Virginia Tech, didn't move the needle for me. I do love the second round pick drafting on Trey Amos, but their corner, I don't know what it is, but whoever's their cornerback coach in Washington, s- eh, I'm not really feeling that. But I think the Commanders had the worst draft.
I mean, you put him on the side with Latimer. I feel that's a good move in itself.
Yeah, but you also got Sarah. You got on the boy from old boy from Michigan from last that was a rookie standout last year too.
Hey,
Oh
you
yeah,
can never have enough corners, especially
that's
playing in the NFC East.
that is true. I agree, but I just wasn't. I was like, I love the addressing of the O line. Don't get it twisted. To protect Jaden Daniels, that's what they really needed, and they did better with that. But some the draft picks after was like, not really feeling it.
The who did you have, Jeremy?
Yeah, I mean, it's kind of hard, but I definitely would have to say that, like, I would say the Saints, man. They really kind of like I didn't like what they, I talked about their quarterback predicament, but I mean, I love what they did on the offensive line, but I think you can get offensive lines in free agency and have the experience and what they do in terms of just the camaraderie of how they play. I think you need as an offensive lineman, it's different in the college versus NFL game. I think that you can chug and plug, yes, but also when you look at what's the style of the play of the quarterback you're bringing in. So if you already have a quarterback in the system that has gotten accustomed to the wide receivers and even the running back, then that's one thing. But what the Saints did when they just picked up a bunch of offensive linemen and then addressed defense, yes, defense can win championships. However, a quarterback leads you to that championship by the way they lead in the locker room and on the field. So what are we doing at quarterback, and how are they going to address that issue moving forward? Are they going to attempt to, like you all said, get Archie Manning next year, or are they going to attempt to get someone in free agency? I just don't like what they did with their picks. I think they could have went a different direction and had the team set up for the future. So, and even as I go through my analysis, I'm looking at different teams. Like the Bengals did good. Like the Cowboys. I hate the Cowboys, but they got Phil Maffa out of Clemson later on in the draft. He's an absolute star. Like I don't like what the Saints did, and I think that they're gonna have to answer some questions. They might have to put what's the guy that plays both quarterback and wide receiver last year, the white boy that's been doing it all for them. They might have to put him at quarterback. I don't know what's going to
Are
happen,
you
but
talking about Taysom? You talking about Taysom Hill?
yes, I don't know what's going to happen.
I mean, the Saints, and they really are turning back to the Aints. They really are. I'm sorry. I'm just being honest. They turning into the Aints. You
Yeah,
got
I,
Derek Carr,
yes.
you got Derek Carr leading a veteran QB room, and he is not a leader. I'm sorry, but I'm gonna call it out for what it is. They talk about, well, Derek Carr never had the same offensive coordinator in all his years of football. Hey, guess what, buddy boy? Neither did Jalen Hurts, and look where he got you. So I don't want to hear that
That
whole
talk.
I don't want to even hear that whole Derek Carr is a good QB. I was like, bro, his arm is weak now. He's been hurt too much, and he's all about himself and his money. Like we not even going there. And you got him leading a young QB room. He's the leader, man. If you don't trade his ass off that team or cut him and just tank, you know what? You might as well just tank. And y'all say y'all want Archie, cool. But guess what? How much you want to bet older Manning or the older Archie Manning gonna be like, I'm not sending my grandson to the Aints. The hell? He going somewhere else.
But yeah, I mean that was definitely my best pick as well. I would say for the draft. You taking a 25-year-old quarterback in Tyler Show. He had a great season last season, but the years prior had three season injuries with collarbone injury, for 2021. Then he had like a 2022 season. He played 6 games, then re-injured that collarbone. And then last 2023, what injured his left fibula. Like, yeah, that's three injuries. Like, I don't have a quarterback that's already 25 years old. Is just a no for me. If you pick a quarterback like that, that's a 6th round, maybe even 7th round type of pick. Definitely is not a 2nd round pick.
Fact.
Um, so I mean, I can see why y'all definitely say the Saints were, you know, a bust. I'm trying to, but I'm gonna have to go with San Fran. Like they messed up in the first round. Yeah, I'm
Another
just,
favorite.
uh,
Oh, another hate. Hayden. Yes, you're right too. You're right.
but yeah, it's like you take a pass rusher. I get it. You guys are heavy on defense. You lost Boza. Cool, but um, you take Mikael Williams. He's a solid defensive lineman, but if he really was going after pass rusher, because I feel like Mikael Williams is still like relatively just raw. Like, I mean, it can either go either way. If he can turn that into like some skill set, or it can just continue to not grow. I don't want to be that guy, but I don't think he's gonna grow. His mechanic is off. Now the Jalen Walker from what is it, Ole Miss?
Hmm.
No, not Ole Miss, Georgia. What had five sacks last year, and then six this past season. So clearly, you can see he's getting better. I feel like he's the more NFL ready pass rusher, which Atlanta was able to snag him a few spots down. So it started off bad there. Alfred Kyle and DL, I feel like he was defense solid. You get Jordan Watkins, a solid wide receiver from Ole Miss. But to me, I just feel like you really didn't address anything. You're talking about, you're talking about might possibly you're talking about getting rid of Purdy for whatever reason. You get a quarterback late in the round with Curtis Rook, but he's not really a known guy or somebody. Maybe that's the future quarterback in case things at Brock Purdy actually don't work. Um, but I feel as though they should have probably went after a wide receiver earlier in the draft to make up for losing Debo Samuel. Didn't really address that until round four, talked about earlier with Jordan Watkins. We could see could be a good pick and could not.
They probably should
But
have went tight end too because George Kittle might sit out. He ran out of guaranteed money. George Kittle talking about, I'm not reporting for till they pay me.
yeah, so they probably could look at what? Well, obviously Loveland went 10. Let's see. I think the other tight end went what? Oh, he went 14. Yeah, so they had a shot at Warren, but did they take him? No. So they went with a guy that I guess they want to say I don't really see it as upside, but that could have potential to have upside. Raw guy. But this is really a show to the fan base. We might be preparing for the future. We're not trying to compete now.
They
That's
want.
what it
I
looked like
think
to
that
me.
at the end of the day, they wanted to take the pressure out of Bosa, but they didn't take no pressure off Bosa with this young edge rusher.
Yeah, I don't know why I said Bosa. I'm thinking the other Bosa from
Nah, they
Chargers.
did lose out on Joey. Joey said, "Nah, I don't want to go to San Fran." He said that. I guess Joey got tired of being on the West Coast or something. I don't know. Where did
Yeah,
Joey go? I think he went to Buffalo, right?
yeah. He went to Buffalo. Yep.
Yeah. So he was like, "Yeah, I'll go to Buffalo." I mean, that's weird. And also too, I want to, that Cowboys first round pick. You brought it up earlier. Earlier. Hey man, be careful what you wish for. You asking for Jalen Carter. Be careful what you wish for. Like real talk, be careful what you
No,
wish.
I give him that, but yeah, that's kind of crazy. You keep poking the bears. It's never a good thing to do.
And
But
don't
he's
poke
definitely a
that bear.
physical offensive lineman. I like his game. But yeah, we'll see what happens. But yeah, the Saints was definitely I see a team, but the San Francisco was definitely another team. It's just I feel like they started off bad from the jump. Um, and we'll see if that pans out for them. I highly doubt it. But now let's jump to the bus players. I guess I already talked about one already. Tyler Shows, second round quarterback at 25 with all the collarbone and fibula injuries. Yeah, it's a no for me. I would have not picked him until fifth or sixth round. Obviously, like I said earlier, he had a great season at Louisville, that final season, this past season. But even then, I'm still not taking him because the injuries is too much for me. Uh, and if I would take him, it would probably be that sixth or seventh round or somewhere even undrafted. Um, Age is definitely a huge factor. You don't want obviously you want a quarterback that's polished, but I'm like that he might be a little bit too old. Like because how old is Derek Carr? Like 30, 29, 30, 31? Yeah,
He
you almost up there with Derek Carr,
old.
and this is your rookie season. Like what?
He old. That's that whole Whedon. Remember Whedon taken by the Browns?
Yeah.
Nah.
And he had what? 20, he had 23 touchdowns last year, 6 interceptions, but he only threw for like 3,100 yards. I'm not saying that's like nothing to sneeze at, but I'm not taking him in the second round. That you have one good season. That's not going to move the needle for me to take you as a second round quarterback. Obviously, the Saints clearly knew they needed a quarterback, which is why they probably should have went after Shador. But as we talked about earlier, with the media splitting the stories, cocky on it, maybe they was like, "Oh, I don't want that." Like he's talking about the circus, but you go get an older quarterback, it's not going to move the needle. It's not really going to help you. And you kind of, to me, in my opinion, you kind of waste a second round pick of somebody that probably could have still been there in that fifth or sixth round, to be honest with you.
Agreed.
But I'm trying to think of any other bus.
Um, I like Matthew Golden, but I think there's a chance to get lost in that wide receiver shuffle.
I don't think so.
Yes, I think he can stand out, but I think there's a chance he can get lost in that wide receiver shuffle too.
Um, I think as though that they got a wide receiver they needed. They're looking for that number one guy. Jaren Reed is a great receiver.
But he's a
Uh,
slot receiver. He's a good utility slot receiver. Let's
oh,
just keep.
Jaren, or you talking about Golden?
I'm talking about no, I'm talking about Reed. I was talking about Reed for what they have on their roster. Reed is a good utility slot receiver. You put Reed in the slot, he does work.
Yeah, but here's the thing with Golden. I feel like he was a great receiver. He had two good seasons his first 2 years when he was at Houston, but then the Texas one this year is the one that kind of like gave him a breakout. Had people like looking his way. What he had about almost close to 1,000 yards receiving with 6 touchdowns. So I feel as though he still has that ceiling to grow into a dominant receiver. And I feel like it was a great pick for them.
Um, there's a receiver that went undrafted from UM on Recepro. He remember he set out that he set out the bowl game because he thought he was going to get drafted and did not get drafted. Um, he's going to be a surprise because he's back with Cam Ward. His
You
stat,
talking about that Reshepo didn't get drafted?
no, he did not get drafted.
Wow.
Yep, he did not get drafted. But he got signed by the Titans. I think that he's going to be a surprise to everybody, especially going back with somebody familiar. He gonna be Cam's probably one of Cam's number one targets if he gets into that. He cracks that line. He cracks that. But bus wise, man, I'm gonna have to agree with y'all with Jackson Dart and like this and Boyle on the Saints. Like
Jeremy, I don't put me in it. I ain't say Dart was gonna be no bust.
I
I'm gonna
said
have to
him.
agree with y'all.
Nah, I mean him between him. I mean, I don't think this is a bust, but like, what is Loveland going to do with the Bears? Like, I mean, they already have a solid. I mean, I think that the tight end from them, I think, was traded, but I feel as though um he's just someone that you could have replaced in free agency. I think a lot of people address their needs with the picks in the draft, but I feel like he could have been someone that was addressed in free agency and they could have went another direction. Now, Jackson Dart, I stand by that. I guarantee you he will have double digit. If he's not going to start, first of all, because they have Russell Wilson and Jameis Winston. But like even then, like I think that's a waste of money, regardless. So when I think about bust, I think about bust in terms of the money you could have spent elsewhere in the direction you could have went as well. And then his upside is not that good as either. I mean, he's a dual threat quarterback. His arm is mediocre at best. I think he can fit the ball in tight windows, but in terms of you going to the NFL, these cornerbacks and safeties can pick your pocket just as much as you think you know where you're gonna get it into that narrow window. So he has a lot to learn, and I feel like I stand by that one. But Loveland as well, I don't know. I just don't know what they're going to do with him. So I feel like those two for me, I'm just kind of confused as why they went that direction. I feel like with Caleb Williams at within Chicago, you could have given him more options, even at running back, because they took our running back from
Yes,
the Eagles, and they like. I mean, I'm like, what's
they
going on?
needed.
Like,
They could have taken a running back. I do like the wide receiver they picked, Luther Burden from Missouri. You that three-headed monster with Aduze and Moore and everything because you lost out on Keenan Allen. That's gonna be solid for them. But I, if this is fantasy, I'm just gonna be kind of worried about picking any Chicago Bears receiver, especially after last year. That shit was pissing me off.
Yeah, I love a Duze. I picked him up in one of them
Oh,
best ball league. I thought he was gonna go off. Did not. He had a few good games, but it wasn't really too
but
much.
I agree. I agree with Loveland, and I agree with Dart. I can't. There's no complaints here. Like bus wise, damn.
To the next topic.
it's
Um,
hard to shoot.
like players that that we were shocked about, like surprise. Obviously, I feel like we can all address the elephant in the room enough with Shador Sanders dropping the fifth round. We talked about it with the media, spinning the story, but how he's, cocky and all that. Then, like you said, sandbagging interviews, things of that nature. But is there any other players that you guys saw that was a player that you were shocked that what
Uh
fell in the draft or didn't get drafted at all?
Not didn't get drafted, but more how far he got up. I like Genty, but damn, I he got drafted early. I thought he was well, not as early as Zeke early, but I thought it was a little bit early. Because me personally, I thought he'd be on the Cowboys. That's what I thought. I
Okay.
thought he was going to be on the Cowboys because he played at Boise State, small running back and everything. Yo, I don't know. I know people are calling him generational talent, but at the same time with the Raiders O line is fucking terrible. So like him trying to get through them holes and stuff, I worry about him.
Yeah, I'm a love when people pick him up in Dynasty. I'm like, cool. I love Shador falling back because now I can get my man Shador in the third round. I don't got to go reach too early in his first and second
Yep.
round picking Dynasty. So shout out to the Browns for picking in fifth round so I can wait and get my man, just stash him in my Dynasty team. Um, but I don't know. I feel as though, with Pete Carroll, I know he's a guy that tries to run an even offensive scheme with like balance well with passing and rushing, but he likes to run a lot of play action. In order to have a runner with play action, you got to have a solid running back that teams might actually like. I wouldn't say fear because he's a rookie, but like at least respect it. Like, oh, okay, let's like we can't overreact on that reaction because they might hand it off or they might fake it and go long.
I'm not doubting his talent. It's his O line. Cause you know in the NFL, like, yo, your running back's only as good as your O line can block for you at the end of the day. Like you can have as much talent as a running back. Like, look at Saquon, for example, on the Giants.
Mhm.
Man, Saquon on the Giants was doing all he can. He had all the time in the world doing what he could. And then he comes to the Eagles to a good old lineman. Look how easy the game became for him. And that's what I'm worried about, Genty. Like the Raiders not having a good old line really does bother me. It bothers me.
Skipping, I feel like he's still like. I mean, Boise State was good, but I didn't feel like they had like a superstar line to be a small school Mountain
Yeah,
West. So I feel as though he's physical enough to get through. But obviously, he translated from the college football small school to go play in the NFL now. So we'll see how that works. But I feel like he's a great enough player that he'll be able to make that transition even with a so-so offensive line.
I'm just more surprised he was picked that early, just and picked by the Raiders. But hey, it is what it is at the end of the day. I'm proud that he got his back. He is the second highest paid running back in the league now after Saquon. So all due respect, Genty, go do your thing and try to up that bag.
Jeremy, did you have any player uh,
That
that
was
you
a
were
bust.
shocked to fit?
Oh, that
No,
was
yeah,
shock. Oh, shock. Yeah. I'm just going to point it out. I think Tyler Warren should have went higher than the Colts. I
Okay.
think you can
Yep.
swap Loveland for Warren. That's why I brought up Loveland to connect those dots. Like, why did you see Warren's tape at Penn State? I think he could have went in the place of Genty if we been no, actually take that back. They got a dude from Georgia. Never mind. But no, I think he could have went anywhere from um the Saints to the 49ers, if you're being honest, because you talked about what's going on with what's the
Kittle.
guy with the 49ers
Kittle. Yeah. George
Kittle,
Kittle.
yeah. So like Warren like could have went up, and I feel like he's a good fit with the Colts because of what they got going on. But those picks that came before him, yeah, you could any one of those could have
Also,
been well
with the
swapped.
Colts, you don't know who gonna be the QB. The way they talking about Anthony Richardson, and he don't pass to the tight end. I'm sorry, but he does
Yeah,
not pass to the tight
not
end.
any.
yeah. Who you talking about? You said Richardson?
Yeah, Richardson does not pass to his tight
I
ends.
mean,
Like,
I feel like they got him now because I feel like they're gonna try to talk with him. Like, you got to make the right reads and hit that. I feel like tight ends always quarterback safety, especially young quarterbacks. So
yes,
hopefully they like instill him like that's your safety when they can hit him when he's open. If you don't see the down deep threat downfield with Pierce. So, um, but I feel as though for me, my players that I was the biggest surprise was Kobe Bryant from Kansas, star cornerback. I didn't even get drafted, which is I was shocked by that. Obviously he had a lot of injuries, but in his career, you had what 13 interception, 34 pass breakups. It's kind of hard to believe that a player of that magnitude doesn't get drafted at all in 7 rounds. Obviously, had that leg injury this past season. But even then, I still feel as though he should have been a 6 rounder pick. And then my other surprise, well, I knew he had the issue going into it, Isaiah Bond with the sexual assault that case is pending with him. Um, as I said to someone, I was like, I feel as though he was a fifth or sixth rounder before that, and I could see him going up. But I still, as though I feel like a team, like obviously with how he picks the guys, guy that's not always high character, but players that might fall. Like I mean, Jalen Carter didn't fall that far,
But
but
he don't pick guys. He came out and said, "I don't pick nobody with domestic assaults and stuff and all that."
shit. I mean, Jalen Carter kills somebody.
I was about to say, like,
Yeah, yeah, but
you
there's I'm not justifying. Don't know. Do not clip me up. I'm not justifying any of this. Yes, Jalen Carter did kill somebody in a car crash and everything. But he ain't over there going home beating his significant other and stuff though.
Sure. But originally he was charged with because obviously I mean obviously now it used to be innocent until proven guilty, but now it's for these athletes guilty until proven innocent. But I just feel as though he was a great wide receiver. What he had over damn near 100
Oh,
receptions last
oh,
season and
his
10
talent.
touchdowns.
Yeah, talent speaks for itself. Great wide receiver, but with that case pending, and especially you're a rookie on the team, and I'm having you, if I'm in team in need of wide receiver, do I really want to have that on my roster and be in need of another wide? Like, you know what I'm saying?
It's like at that point, I would say I would let the legal system run its course,
Yeah.
and I would take him in that round seven,
I
and
mean,
then
it's just like Rice. It's just like Rice over in
yeah,
Kansas.
because even oh yeah, because it's like sometimes let me not say it because we're not gonna get canceled. But anyway, but long story short, unfortunately, a lot of times, unfortunately, some of these sexual assault cases, sometimes they turn out that the athlete was innocent, and some stupid stories were fabricated. That's all I'm gonna say on that.
Hey, you know what? Somebody said this in a press conference during the NBA playoffs. Man, people hated on Jesus, you know? People
That's
gonna hate.
crazy.
Hey, he said, hey, I would say people hated on Jesus, dog. Like, so people
These
are going
players and stuff.
fans, so people are gonna get accused for wild shit that you don't know until proven innocent, like you said earlier. Like,
Yeah, so it's like because I don't try to be like, oh, this person guilty because of information. One, I wasn't there. Two, I'm not the lawyer, so I
exactly.
don't have full information. So I'm not going to comment or try to say anything. So I'll let the legal system run its course with that
But
situation.
but you know what it is though. It's like you go into a job interview, like you being drafted is just a job interview. You go into the
Mhm.
job interview, they do their background checks on you.
Yeah.
You got one thing on the background check that seems like kind of suspicious and stuff. And do I want to bring that around my locker room? Hell no, I don't want to bring that around my locker
No,
room.
that's fair because you definitely don't want to be in there asking somebody like, yeah, what was your GM or whatever coach like? What are your thoughts of signing a player, drafting a player that has a sexual assault pending case? And you don't want to keep asking the question. You want to just
And then
talk about football.
think about it, he around your family and all that stuff after games and stuff, and you like, I mean, it's a lot of you're in close proximity with a lot of family members and stuff, and then it doesn't turn out for the best until he was proven. The fact is, even if he's proven innocent, he's still gonna have that trailing on him. That's still gonna be something that trails him for life because they'll be like, well, they blamed you for sexual assault, so if you get blamed again, then something true must be about it. And God forbid, don't let a civil case come up and he just settle for the civil case, because then it just makes him look guilty regardless.
Yeah, because those things like that, you don't even want to settle on anything because you know you guys gotta go all the way through with it. But yeah, that's definitely a thing. Did you guys any players that surprised that fell or just didn't get drafted at all?
I told you about Recepto from
Yeah,
UM.
yeah.
Um, what's funny is I think he hurt himself though, sitting out that bowl game. For the one year that UM was back, all the years he was at UM wasn't that good. He
Mhm.
probably should have played in a meaningful game that matters, and he should have played. You know,
Okay.
I will say but him going undrafted, it sucks, but it worked out for the Titans to pick him up and have a familiar face with Cam Ward, and it could work out best for him.
Yeah, and like it's funny because my social media person, I'm like, what was a good tandem? That'd definitely be a good tandem, having two players play each other in college. Now you tie him up in Tennessee. Hopefully, he makes a roster spot through that, which could be a great fantasy outlook for a team for this. Well, not only Tennessee Titans as regular, it's just football in general, but also for fantasy. Uh, connoisseurs like me and you. I know Jeremy, you play fantasy football. Yeah, so it's like you see the two players already have that connection with each other. You might look at drafting them or like picking Raspado up in like Dynasty League and stashing him to see how he does end up doing, whether gets a full-time job with them after preseason. But yeah, that was a great one. Did you have any players that you were shocked that fell or didn't get drafted at all, Jeremy?
Yeah, I mean, I look at what is it Javion Blue, what he did at Texas, and he went to the Cowboys. I think that he proved a lot in pass rush for the quarterback, but also just catching out the backfield. I think he's a valuable option to a team that's looking to have someone as a maybe a third down back or a change of pace back. So for him to go to the Cowboys. Was a good pick for the Cowboys. Even though I hate the Cowboys, but I think with them falling that far, I think that and what he proved in during the playoffs, college football playoffs, I think that was a lot for GMs or scouts to consider. But for him falling that far, that kind of surprised me as well.
Definitely. Great pick. So hopefully Blue turn pans out well with Cowboys. Obviously, they're trying to re-solidify their offensive line after Zach Martin retiring. They did definitely get a drafted player first round. Trying to make up for losing that play, losing a player of Zach Martin's caliber, which I would feel as though over the I would say last 5 to 6 years, probably one of Jerry Jones' best picks through the draft. So getting Tyler Booker from Alabama is definitely a good pickup for them to try to re-solidify that offensive line, which was always their bread and butter. Um, so yeah, so let's now we just jump to our too early predictions for defensive rookie of the year, offensive rookie of the year. Let's see. For me, like I had something like for the past 7 years, like rookie of the year was won by like a QB or running back reception like 2021, 2022, with Jamar Chase winning and then Garrett Wilson winning 2022. I'm just gonna go out there, just look at like the players out there. I would say Ashton Genty because I feel as though he's gonna be the bell cow for Las Vegas Raiders, and he's gonna be the one that's getting the bulk of the carries. I love McMillan over there with Carolina, but as we saw with Bryce Young, he can have some good games and he can have some not so bad games. So you're depending on Bryce Young to make or break you for that season. Could pan out well, could not. So that's why I didn't pick McMillan. I like Travis Hunter, but I'm still trying to figure out whether they're gonna have him at wide receiver for the majority of the snaps, or are they gonna put him in corner for the majority of the snaps. Cam Ward, I love Cam Ward, but I just don't trust Tennessee right now. So I'm looking at Ashton Genty to win my too early the year offensive rookie of the year. And then for my defensive rookie of the year, I did some like research, and so like for like the past 7 years, a lot of them were either edge rushers or linebackers. So outside of 2022 with Sauce Gardner winning, but for me, I think I'm gonna have to go with Abdul Carter. I feel as though that defensive line for the Giants is already a bolstering defensive line. Just bringing Abdul Carter to that team just strengthens it some more.
They gotta
Uh,
trade somebody though.
who are they going to trade though?
Man, I've heard rumors about Thibodeau getting traded because remember, you got Dexter Lawrence, you have of course Abdul Carter now playing that edge, and then you got Burns over there too.
I
Like,
love Brian Burns. That was a great pickup they got from when they got from
like
Carolina.
somebody gotta get traded. But
I mean, you can, but here's the thing: if you got a line like that, a pass rush, I feel like it's golden for them because you're going up against a Jaden Daniels, a Jalen Hurts, and then a healthy Dak Prescott. Three mobile quarterbacks that can kill you. I mean, Dak hasn't run as much from when he injured his fibula back in the day, but Jalen Hurts is definitely a quarterback that can kill you in the pass game and rushing. Jaden Daniels showing first year, I'm sure he would do the same thing second year. I don't feel like him having a sophomore slump, especially with you getting Debo now. Um, so you got a player like that. You're gonna need that pass rush because you might not want to because one thing that the Eagles exposed with Patrick Mahomes in the Super Bowl is a lot of the teams always try to blitz him. Eagles did a brilliant job. Shout out to Vic for not
oh,
even really doing much
remember,
blitzing, but bringing that pass rush with the regular four. And I feel like with the Giants, you got Burns, Thibodeau, and um, and now you got Abdul Carter. It's going to give
Dexter.
offensive line nightmares.
And you got Dexter Lawrence.
Yeah,
And then,
it's like it's going to give them give the offensive line a nightmare. So I wouldn't trade any of those three. I would keep them and see how it works out before I like think about making a trade because that team is a solidified pass rush. It's a recipe for disaster, and it's going to give some of these QB nightmares. Not Jalen Hurts though. So
agreed. I would say for offensive player of the year, I'm probably going to go with Travis Hunter. I think he's going to end up playing more wide receiver than cornerback in Jacksonville.
personally, I feel like he'll be better at corner,
I know he'll
lockdown
be.
corner.
I agree, but I think the way because of Trevor Lawrence and how they got there, and he needs another threat.
Mm.
Like you got rid of a lot of wide receivers and your tight end this year, so I think they're going to be like, "Hey, we're going to need you more at wide receiver to create that other threat to get Brian Thomas some one-on-ones, and that's what we're going to need from Travis Hunter. Because one thing about Travis Hunter, I know he's a good corner, but that man can't tackle. He can't. He can't tackle, and he's going.
Shit, Prime wasn't a good tackle either.
I know. Prime went, but Prime said, "I don't tackle because I want to get paid."
That's
You know,
right.
Prime back in the day would tell you, be like, tackling, I don't get paid off. I get paid off picks and turnovers.
Yeah,
So I think Travis Hunter would be the offensive rookie of the year. Defensive rookie of the year. Whew, I got to go with Abdul Carter. Like it's not even close. It's not even close. I don't think nobody's gonna. I think he's gonna have a tremendous presence on that defense. It's gonna be scary playing him, but we got some good offensive lines in the NFC East. But he's gonna be somebody. Now, the thing you gotta worry about if you're the Giants, don't do what the Cowboys did with Michael Parsons. Don't put him on one side of the field. Let that man roam. Let
Hmm.
him roam. Because if you do that, it creates chaos and more openness for your other offensive lineman, and he's also able to do more.
Yeah, no, I love what you the analysis that you all are giving. I definitely am going to go for, and I'm an underdog. I like the underdog, and this is a guy that I looked at Arizona State for a while. Went late rounds, but I'm going to go offensive rookie of the year. I'm going to go Cam Scatterbo. Look at what he did against Texas, one man wrecking show. And it's easier to hand the ball off than it is to pass it. You said that it's going to be hard to get the ball to Tyler Warren with the Colts with Richardson. All they got to do is hand the ball off to him. Watch, let me see someone tackle him. I've seen what he's had a rough. He has a chip on his shoulder ever since he was at Arizona State. I think they should have won that game against Texas and went into overtime. And I love what he did on the offensive side. And then when I go on the defensive side of the ball, one of the best secondary players, if not the best in the draft. I think Malachi Starks out of Georgia going to the Ravens. I think with the injuries that the Ravens had, he has a lot of potential and upside to be able to, go alongside Kyle Hamilton that came out of Notre Dame that I was very big on as a freshman coming out. I think if you could have went straight to the league, he probably could have did that. So I think Malachi Starks on the defensive side, and I think Cam Scottaboo on the offensive side. I think with him pairing up with Russell Wilson, who definitely has the tendency to make the smartest decision, which is maybe throw it out of the backfield or just hand it off so he doesn't get hurt. I think Cam Scottaboo's going to have a lot of upside with the Giants. And then, of course, Malachi Starks. I think he's a great tackler, and he's a ball hawk.
Yo, he's going to be able to play in the box now. Now Kyle Hamilton's also able to free roam that back end of the field, which will be good for the Ravens. I agree that those are good picks. Cam Scatterboo, you know what they say, running backs like that, they worry about I call it the Peyton Hillis effect, having one good year and then after they get on all the accolades and stuff, then they go down. I think he a footballer. I think he just out there to play and be great. So I'm not mad at that. I can't even. I'm not even like nah. That's a
it's a
good
good
off.
pick.
That's a
Yeah,
good.
'cause I didn't even look. Yeah, I didn't even think about Scotty. So that's definitely a good, John. See what the Giants do with that. And then I say my other one was probably sleeper, maybe offensive rookie of the year, or just definitely player for people to look at fantasy. Y'all can close your ears because if y'all in the league with me, I don't want nobody drafting him.
Nope.
But Harold Fannin Jr., 6'4" tight end from Bowling State. wasn't talked about enough in my opinion. Had what 16 touchdowns this past season. I know everybody going to say, "Oh, he's played at a small school." All right, 16 touchdowns is 16 touchdowns. Then you would have over 1,500 yards receiving. Um,
Nah, man, he doing what he's supposed
dog.
to. Dog. He
So
definitely he definitely gonna be somebody that people either A, they draft for the last pick or they don't draft at all and just pick up on waivers.
yeah, and it's like obviously you got Njoku, but sometimes Njoku likes to get injured, so you got another a star tight end of the future you can put in there. So I really like what the Browns did. They had a great draft. You know, you don't say too often the Browns doing something right, but this year, shout out to Andrew Barry for doing his thing with bolstering his team and making the Browns less of a laughingstock now in the NFL. So.
Can't get mad about that.
But yeah, let's jump to the NBA. We can briefly talk about these first round matchups. Obviously this year has been like some of the most watched playoffs NBA for over the past few seasons, and the reason why is for once we're having good first round matchups. Typically, we don't really see good matchups over the second round, third round conference championships.
Not in the East. There's only
What?
two good
Oh, stop it! The Pistons and Knicks series is
There's only
definitely a good
two
jump.
good. There's only two good matchups, maybe. Like the Pistons and the Pistons and Knicks is the series to watch. And but then
Okay.
everybody actually no, it's just one. Everybody else in the East is like we can't wait till the second round.
But Orlando against Boston, everybody thought they was just going Boston go roll. I didn't think that. I feel like they was going to get one or two. Orlando was going to get it, and they was able to sneak out that game three. And it's a great series. I love Mosley's how he's coaching Orlando's team. I like Paulo Banchero. Wagner is definitely a dog. I love him. Cole Anthony's a beast. So I just feel as though that's a young team that has the potential. They just need one of them, either an older veteran star player or try to get a young star in free agency this year to pair them with Paulo. Um, I thought the Cavs and Miami was going to be a little bit big, more of a fight.
Ugh.
Yeah, I mean, I thought Miami was going to get one, and I thought it was going to be game three.
What
I'm glad.
Darius
I'm
Garland
glad. I'm
said.
glad. Shout out the guy for not letting me bet that jump with FanDuel when I put it in and locked and wasn't letting me bet. That was God because they got
What
cooked
Darius Garland.
last night.
What Darius Garland said. Attack Tyler Hero. Pick on him.
Hey, I mean, Tyler Hero was a bucket, so they can say what they want. That
Oh
brother
no,
can go
Tyler Hero
score.
get buckets, but on the defensive
Oh
end,
yeah. He's
yes.
he's going to give up some points. That's why you got to try to shade him or something. But the Western Conference, you're right, is absolutely right. It's definitely the better series, of course.
Besides that
Um,
Memphis and
yeah, I would have Memphis and OKC would have been better if Ja didn't try to do some wild stuff and try to dunk
nah.
on Dirk.
Ja got hurt because Lou Dort
No,
slipped.
no, no, no. Ja thinking his NBA jams and
And
try to
tried to
take off and
yeah.
go over him. Because everybody was trying to say Lou Dort did a dirty play. No, Lou
It
Dort was
wasn't a dirty
tripping.
play. It
Yeah, and people
wasn't a
was like,
dirty play.
they tried to
He
hurt him. They
slipped.
didn't find him, especially Memphis fans. I'm sitting there like, bro, you can clearly visually
Nah.
see him tripping, falling
If we're
back.
talking about dirty plays, man, the shit Amen Thompson is getting from the Golden State fans saying he injured Jimmy, that's crazy. That is
I got
crazy.
you. But yeah, no, that's yeah, but for yeah, man, it's just crazy with bro. And I picked, and I was going to do the Thunder at the minus 15 and a half yesterday. I did the -7, think it was a no brainer because I'm like, all right, the last game was a little close, but they had Ja. But man, these boys, Thunder was over there trying to throw the game away.
Look, the Thunder, yo, I thought the Thunder would have lost that game and Ja would have stayed the whole game. It would have been over from there. Another good series, man. Who would have thought LA to be down 2-1 to the Timberwolves?
Yeah, I couldn't see. I definitely thought it was
I,
going
I
seven, but
don't
I
think
didn't know they were going to be losing like
nobody's,
this.
but that one and then the best series of the playoffs, you have to give it to
Clippers.
the Clippers and
Yeah,
Nuggets. I'm sorry. Overall, that is the best series. It's not even close. Like, don't get me wrong. Yes, Rockets bias and all that. We got a good series going on, but that series is amazing. It's going down to the wire every day, every
it's
time.
definitely going seven because what game one was the close one, and yesterday's game was close. Uh, well, not game one, game two was close,
Well,
and it
now
was
that
like,
buzzer beater dunk, man, that was whoo! I can't believe they stole that in LA.
Yeah, and it's like as the Clippers. Sad thing about the Clippers, they be losing games that they should have won, and it's like those are the games that are going to kill you. Where and luckily, I feel like this series still goes seven. I feel like Clippers still win it because Denver just don't have no coach. But my man
Um,
Jokic out there coaching and making subs. So
then Rockets and Golden State, we got to see. I still think it goes seven regardless. I don't
oh yeah,
know. I think we from my fandom perspective is that we missed out on the chance to win that game yesterday without Jimmy. So, but it also makes me wonder too, does Steve Kerr kind of be like, "Hey Jimmy, sit down another game, relax."
because it's
You know,
like
like you know what I'm saying?
and we
Because that
home.
does come into play.
Yeah, because it's like you already up 2-1. I mean, obviously you want to win both and solidify it, but also I feel as though I know you're a Rockets fan and work for them, but it's like I feel as though the Warriors still win this in six. So me personally,
Rockets
if
in seven.
if I'm preparing, if I'm what the seventh seed, and I'm about the next game, I'm looking at a L.A. Lakers or Timberwolves matchup. Yeah, I'm resting Jimmy as much as possible because you're gonna have to have him out there guarding their best player.
Yeah, you gonna have to guard. He gonna have to guard Luca or Braun or somebody.
Yeah.
Or he gonna have
So
to guard Edwards.
yeah, and you want to have him as fresh as possible. With obviously, I feel like a lot of players, most players are banged up later in the season, but you want to have him as fresh and healthy as possible. So I would definitely that was probably smart there from the rest of them another game. Obviously, of course, Jimmy was like, I want to be out there, and I'm sure he was trying to say that last game he wanted to be out there, but they're just like, nah. And I feel like it was a wise move for them. And I said, you guys are a great young team, but I feel as though you guys are an older star away, and I would like to see you guys go after Katie this offseason and I would trade Jabari Smith and maybe a few draft picks and go get KD and see if I can build
The
with that.
mock trades have said Fred, Cam, and then depending on this draft lottery, May 12th. If
Hmm.
I mean, if the possibility we do get the number one pick, if that happens, and
We
we
get
got
Cooper Black, no question.
yeah, we get Cooper Flag, then you're looking like, do we really need like I do think you need an older star, but I think it's more at the point guard position at that point then. Because
Yeah, because I love Fred, but he's a guy that's good, but he's not going to be the guy
he
that's going
better
to
come
take you out to the next.
to me, Fred's shining moments coming off the bench.
Yeah, you got to go. I'm trying to see what NBA, what free agents be out there this
Well,
offseason.
Tyus Jones, like if we do get KD and we have to trade Fred, I'm always gonna say, and they're gonna try to make Amen the point guard. Amen's handles is not as tight to be a point guard, and trying to do that on the off season, a shortened off season, because this will be their first shortened off season if they do
Mhm.
get eliminated the first round. You know what I'm saying? It's like
Yeah,
one of those things like it's not enough time. It's not enough time. And then you did some sets with him in the point guard in the season, but not enough. So like you need to get established. Like you could go for Tyus Jones. Shoot, if you get KD, you can see if James want to come back unless he want to stay in LA.
yeah. Legend over there at the Houston strip clubs.
It's I mean, it'd be scary for these young boys, but you know what I'm saying? Like you can have James come back, you can have Tyus, but you need a veteran point guard to for KD to be KD again. Because what they had him doing in Phoenix, him
You
having the
go get
ball,
Giddy.
yeah, him having to handle the ball most of the time. Good Lord, you need somebody. You need a he needs a point guard.
You heard
KD
what I
is
said?
best at when he got somebody that is running the point.
Yeah, because I see what y'all got team option this year for Van Fleet. I mean, I'm sure you guys probably exercise that team option, but why not go after like a player? I mean, obviously he's going to be restricted, but go after Josh Giddey. Obviously, I know that all the issues he had, but
Excuse
huh?
excuse me.
I mean, he's
And
a
he can't even
solid
play.
guard. We saw what he did
No,
in
no, he
Chicago.
is a star, but you can't play him in the full quarter.
Hey, that's where Red Fleet.
That's
That's
the
where
worst part.
Van Fleet
Like
coming.
you hoping you don't have to play him in the fourth quarter because of KD. KD gonna take over or whoever, Jalen or Alpi or so. But damn, can't play him in the fourth quarter.
I mean, I guess you go after Tyus Jones as a safe pick, but I would at least I'll throw some bread at
I
Josh
just
Giddey, see
don't
what
want
they
us
talk.
going after Trey Young and LaMelo.
Oh
Like
yeah, no
that,
question.
I don't. Trey is going to think. Trey is just Trey thinks he James Harden and Luca, but smaller. Like, yeah, y'all just stand in the corner. I'm gonna dribble the air out the ball and then I'm gonna kick it out to you for this last second shot at the shot clock.
Yo, is Yankees playing today, bro? 'Cause I'm looking at my fantasy team and it's saying PPD. Let me check the paper,
Um,
man.
I'm looking.
All right, they playing, bro. Yeah, y'all hope you. That's why I be on sleeper now with the other app, bro. I can't stand y'all. Y'all hope on some stuff
Stay
lately.
on Sleeper, FanDuel, and Prospects. Let's stay on
Yeah,
those.
sitting there like, bro, is these people playing or what?
I don't
Three
know.
next.
This is going to be an interesting football season. I'm excited. Football season, this NBA playoffs is going to be good. The second round of the East is going to be amazing. The West is going to be good. I'm interested in seeing OKC play whoever they play. It's going to be a hard matchup. I don't think OKC going to have a hard time with the Clippers or the Nuggets, in my opinion.
Yeah, I definitely got Clippers winning in seven. And the other series, like I said earlier, Warriors in six.
That's the
Um, and then I got Lakers coming out in seven. I always had that series going seven before seven, but it's a great series to me. And I said to someone, I said if Ann Evans pulls this off, he has no choice but to be the face of the league. You beat Bron and Luca in the first round and take that Minnesota to the next round, and then you go against Steph, you might have a shot to probably beat him. Yeah, I know he says you don't want to be the face of the league, but you do that, yeah, choice but to be
he's automatically the face
Yeah,
with that resume. And then you somehow make it to the finals. If he was to beat that OKC team and make it to the finals, I'd be like, God damn.
I'm still not sold on OKC. Everybody's like gun ho, like, oh, they did, and I'm just like, yeah, but I was like, they know
I'm
how
not
to go
sold
in the
on the
playoffs. They just look at
no,
what
I'm
they did
not
yesterday
sold.
against Memphis
I'm not
with
sold
no
on
job.
them.
Yeah,
I'm not sold on them because of the fact that one, Shea has if he not getting those fouls called, boy, it's scary for the Thunder. But Jalen Williams got to show up. Chet, everybody talking about Chet. No, Jalen Williams has to show up. He got to score between the 20 and 25 point range.
yeah. I think Chet is a given bucket, especially what he does on defensive side of the ball. But I think Jalen is very inconsistent. I think he'll show up when he wants to, but when you have those three in unison, that's when you'll say OKC is really a threat because they have the bench play to back it up a little bit. I feel like some of their bench players they're a little bit shaky when it comes to that second unit.
It should be interesting. Nah, because they all thrive off of Shea. Like if Shea not getting to the line and he not getting his 30 points, boy, it is scary for OKC. And you see it.
but we'll see what happens, man. I think what I said before the playoffs started, I said what Celtics coming out the East, and then I had Lakers coming out the West. I'm still gonna stick with that prediction. Who y'all got coming out the East and West?
I got
Yeah, go ahead.
I got Celtics coming out the East, and then I got OKC coming out the West. I
Yeah,
think
we
they still make it out.
we pretty much agree on everything, but I got the Timberwolves beating the Lakers. I think that Luca and LeBron, they definitely are gonna get them to like I would say like probably it's gonna I think it could go down to like maybe like a 4-2, like maybe 4-3 series. But I think with the youth of the Timberwolves, and I think the X factor is Nas Reed if he has a good game. Then I think he's making those threes. Then I think that the Timberwolves can take it because I see what I've seen kind of the physicality that the Timberwolves bring, and Hachimura is kind of like I don't think he can be able to take on everything that the Timberwolves is going to throw at him. So I would say the Timberwolves and the Celtics because I like what Derek White. Derek White is the X factor for
Yeah, when he
the
goes off in the playoffs like that, they're very even more of a tougher team to beat. Do you think the Lakers go down 3-1 today?
No, there's no way. I
Yeah, that's
think
what I'm saying. But I'm like, man, I said, damn, the Lakers can't beat these
if
boys
they
at
go
home.
down 3-1, that's spooky. It gets spooky. 3-1, it gets spooky. I'll tell you that right now.
That's the only series I could possibly see going to Game 7. Like I think it's just like you have players that'll show up and do insane numbers, like with Nas Reed, and then you'll have like you'll have Reeves, and then you can have Gabe Vincent showed up somehow for like in the clutch with like a couple threes. Like so, I think that could go to 6 or 7. But yeah, no, not 3-1. That's insane. I don't see it.
Hey, I mean, I was just like, man, I was them boys rolling at home. That's why I'm like, I don't know, but I was like, I can't see the league letting that happen. I took the Lakers plus 120 for money line.
If
Face off.
they go 3-1 today, that's telling you that the league that should be a firm side that the league is pushing like, okay, we need new. It's time to bolster the face. Yeah.
Nah, yeah.
Like like here's my thing. When the league starts getting the league complains about, well, there's nobody stepping up for LeBron and stuff. I was like, yeah, y'all keep pushing LeBron and stuff. That's the whole thing. If you want that, put that same type of machine behind some of these younger players. I know everybody was like, Wemby's gonna be the face of the league. I was like, yo, an international player is not gonna be the face of the NBA. He's gonna be a face of international players,
Exactly.
but not no face of the whole NBA. They're not. That's not. It's always going to be an American player.
Hmm. Yeah.
But you guys want to add anything else?
Nah, I mean, I think you all have done a great job.
I would say is a shot on Dallas Cowboys, y'all first round pick. Be careful what you wish for. That's all I gotta say. Jalen Carter. Jalen Carter coming from you.
You funny as hell. But yeah, I'll just add, we're still looking for one more person for our WNBA fantasy basketball league. It's $100 to join. First place gets 600, second 300, and then with third gets 100. So if you know someone that's looking to join, if any subscriber or fans out there, hit DM us on social media, Twitter or Instagram, or even TikTok. We'll reach back out to you. Appreciate you guys coming on. Go Birds.
Sir, go
Go
Birds.
Birds.